we as financial advisors and investors in general, we always look at how to maximize profit. So not only are you buying through crypto, your crypto trading and the profits you are making there is another way to even pay off your payment plans faster.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like any other currency. When you're having that exchange rates and the fluctuations throughout the day, you're not only making money through crypto, you're using that money to right away buy an asset. Property under construction, value 100K, for example. By the time it's actually ready, you've in many cases doubled your money, if not more.
Capital appreciation.
So capital appreciation is there, no capital gains tax on that.
True.
All yours. So as a corporate investor, even as a residential, amazing.
Hi, my name is Camila Kusaifi, and I'm your host today for IPS Podcast 2025. I'm so happy to share that we have an amazing guest today with us, Miss Nadia Al Ameri. Welcome, Nadia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Your journey from being one of the first tax experts in the GCC to leading IQ Group and Accutax Consultancy is truly inspiring. To start, can you share what initially drew you to the world of international tax and legal consulting?
Thank you. So first of all, thank you for having me here today, and it's my honor to be part of the International Property Show. Something very important to me here in the UAE. So actually, my career started in the Federal Tax Authority within the tax world. So I joined with a background in finance and economics. I had a role in private banking previously, and coming from a finance background, taxation is actually a very big part of that, especially when dealing with ultra high net worth individuals and their major assets all over the world. So very early on, I actually joined the Federal Tax Authority before taxes were implemented in the UAE. So at that time, I knew that while it's an honor to have a government role and be part of a team that is implementing something new into the UAE, I also knew very early on that I wanted to be on the consulting side and on the legal side, where I'm able to actually help more people rather than just be representing the government. So that is why I was able to have one of the first FTA authorized tax consultancy firms in the UAE. And I started in Abu Dhabi. Branched out to Dubai. We're in multiple free zones now, and we cover the whole UAE and branches and partner branches in 5 countries now, alhamdulillah.
Nadia, when we talk about helping people, can you share with me some moments or achievements that stand out?
I'll tell you a moment that made me actually very emotional. And was actually one of my one of my boosts, my push, exactly. Was my push as to why I'm going to be a consultant no matter what, that I'm going to pursue my legal career until the maximum possible. I was actually standing in the Federal Tax Authority, and it was in the few days of when tax was implemented. And an old man, a local Emirati man, I'm going to be emotional now. He was so sad, and his containers were actually stuck in the port for a few days. He didn't have the right guidance. There was something wrong with his importer code, and he was begging me. He was saying, please help me. Like, there's something you can do. I've had my business for 50 years. I've never had this. And I felt like I was talking to my grandfather. And it was so hard because while I wanted to help him, I was not allowed to. And there's only so much I can do, working for the government. We are an administrative authority, a legislative authority. You can only do so much. So I actually went home that day. I really felt so emotional. I felt like I couldn't do anything more, but at the same time I had to do more. Like it was in my conscience that I have to do something. My skills and my knowledge and my what my role is more than this. So I stayed for as long as I could, and that's when I made the move, and I've never looked back, alhamdulillah.
And you helped him?
No, I couldn't help him. That's why it broke my heart. I couldn't, So unfortunately, but these are the moments that I will never forget, and part of the reason why I'm here today.
Amazing. Nadia, also, I felt like this is mostly dominated by men. You know, when we talk about legal, consultancy,
Yeah.
mostly we can see men in these kind of industries. So, how did you navigate and how you kept yourself challenged, motivated? I think it was tough on you. It wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
But see, when we're looking at the government side, there was a
Mm-hmm.
very much a big, there was a very clear balance, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't anything that was
Mm-hmm.
dominated. For me, it was the path going into consulting.
Mm-hmm.
Not only was it dominated by men, you don't find many Emirati women. You
Yes.
don't find Emiratis in general. You're not finding it's very dominated by certain nationalities, which I'd rather not get into. So
Mm-hmm.
how come I am not here to represent one, my country, two, a field that I have actually been part of from the beginning. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've been here releasing and implementing not only legislations, but policies and procedures, knowing the systems internally. I thought there's nobody who can do it better than me. So,
That's amazing,
yeah,
mashallah.
alhamdulillah. So I was blessed with not only the opportunity and not only, you know, having the network that I did, but having the background, and very blessed to have, you know, a strong character
Yeah,
and
I think
somewhat
strong character will always do the change and the difference in this
100%.
world,
Yes.
especially in this field.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I joined this field at an age where I was very young. A lot of people said to me, no one's going to take you seriously.
really.
Yes.
So, which age were you?
I opened my firm at the age of 26.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a message for all women who wants to be,
Men and
entrepreneurs.
women,
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. I'm not
Yeah.
here only to encourage women, and you know, بالعكس, men and women, we all need the encouragement. We all need to boost each other.
True.
For me, it is. I'm delivering a message from us, from the UAE to the rest of the world, not only about taxation, but other financial legislations and corporate laws that are related to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or have some relation to tax, and especially the real estate world.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you regarding the real estate now. Do you know Dubai is booming? Everyone wants to invest in Dubai. It's
The
going
UAE, not
in the
only
yes,
Dubai.
in UAE.
Yes.
So it's really going crazy. So I think international investors are
Mhm.
increasingly, worried about the tax compliance.
Okay.
How do you think about this?
What if I told you that
Mm,
real estate in the UAE is tax free?
okay.
There's many ways to make it tax free, and
Okay.
in multiple scenarios, actually, it's not only tax free, there's exemptions. So we have residential
Mm-hmm.
properties, we
Mm-hmm.
have commercial properties, we have mixed use properties. And this is only when you are here as an investor, as a buyer, as using it for yourself or even for rentals. Let's even take a step back. If you want to come in here, become a developer,
Mm-hmm.
you want to buy, you know, big commercial lands and develop properties, we have many schemes where you are having zero rates on taxes,
Mm-hmm.
as well as many type of exemptions. And then when we talk about possible VAT on people who are having as end users,
Mm-hmm.
you're only paying 5% VAT,
That's true.
right?
Yeah.
And then let's look at top corporate tax. Corporate tax is only 9%, but that's only when you're looking at commercial properties as part of a business. So there's many ways for taxation in the UAE on real estate still to be zero. There's many ways that, you know, and I'll speak separately. We'll talk about EU investors. We'll talk about the Americans.
Yeah.
We'll talk
Mostly
about
Americans, let's say.
Americans,
Yeah.
they're in their own world, and you know, we can talk about this in many different ways. But there's so many ways that you can structure things that we are reducing tax. We can
Mm.
always have tax residency, not only for investors as an individual, but also for their companies. So companies can be having tax residency that is minimizing your tax exposure
Mm.
back, you know, at home,
Mm-hmm.
especially when, you know, the IRS comes into it. The UAE is a FATCA compliant country
Mm-hmm.
where we do report back to Uncle Sam.
Mm.
But in saying that, there is minimal taxes to be paid, if
Mm-hmm.
any, in many circumstances.
But mainly, what do you think are the most tax misconceptions
Mhm.
you see it among the international investors looking at the UAE in general to invest?
Okay. Misconceptions. Some people think that, you know, it's no longer tax free.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically related to real estate, in many
Mm-hmm.
cases, it is still tax free or
Mm-hmm.
tax exempt,
Mm-hmm.
or if structured the right way, we can be paying almost zero taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So it is not no longer tax free. Corporate tax is not applicable on residential property. The VATs again is not applicable on residential properties. As a developer, when you're selling those properties initially, again there is no tax involved. And also, when you're coming in as a corporate investor, when you are, investing into hotels and all of these things, VAT is something you're not paying as an end user.
True.
It is something that you charge and you pay. You claim any input taxes that are applicable or, compliant to claim, and you're paying almost nothing there. So a lot of misconceptions that Dubai or the UAE is no longer tax-free. No, it is still tax-free in many situations. We still have many free zones that are VAT and corporate tax-free once, the correct compliance is applied.
Let's talk a little bit about the corporate tax in general.
Right.
How do you think the corporate tax impacted the real estate, in general, and the private equity sectors?
Look, the impact is still yet to be clear. But when we're talking about real estate, again, especially corporate investors, we need to segregate what we're looking at. Are they investing into hotels and commercial properties? Are they investing into residential and having those major residential portfolios? In general, when we see corporates, or from my experience, when corporates are coming and investing in the UAE through real estate portfolios, most of the time they are investing into residential properties.
True.
And especially they're looking at those off-plan properties who are having not only big ROIs once ready, but from the time that they're investing whilst under construction.
Yeah, with the payment plan, Dubai made it easy.
Made it very easy, but forget about that. We have nothing called capital gains tax. This is the biggest issue for people outside the UAE. You're buying a property under construction, value 100K, for example. By the time it's actually ready, you've, in many cases, doubled your money, if not more.
Capital appreciation.
So capital appreciation is there, no capital gains tax on that.
True.
All yours. So as a corporate investor, even as a residential, amazing. Plus the ROI that you're getting on your property. As a residential, there is no tax. It is having no VAT, no corporate tax.
I think if developers and investors or agents are listening to us today, they will be so happy.
There is many ways that you can apply exemptions or to get the tax down to zero or minimal. So again, we need to always segregate VAT from corporate tax, and then we need to also look at what type of property it is. Is it commercial? Is it not? And there's a big gray area for many people, but to me it's black and white. I'll give you a short answer. Even though you have residential properties, what comes under the label of short term, so like Airbnb,
holiday homes,
exactly. While they're there for residential use, so long as you're giving additional services like internet, paying the
DIWA, all
of
these,
course, and even like labor camps and these type of things, they're not considered residential. They are considered as commercial in many cases.
Because they are used to be rented for like monthly basis or daily use.
Yep, it is not a general residential. So maybe we can have another talk about that.
Yeah, we should. So what should investors be mindful of when investing or looking at the UAE? Like if you want to give one tip to investors, what it could be?
Always look at one, your risk appetite. Two, the term of the investment. And also, what are you paying with? Are you cash-based investor or a finance investor?
I think this is very important.
Yeah. And this is something that I pride myself on covering from A to Z. So we're not only here, we're not an agent. We don't deal with one specific developer. We don't deal with only off-plan or not off-plan. We're here to give you advice as like investment advice, as well as taxation, to make sure that we're doing things for financial planning long term, and to make sure that profitability is always there while structuring things the right way.
Yeah, especially cross-border transactions are getting really complex. So
we accept crypto.
Oh wow!
So
what are the key strategies do you really recommend for minimizing the tax liabilities?
See, minimizing tax liabilities, the cross-border payments is not an issue at all. When we talk about cross-border payments, we're going to look at the finance system, the banking system, how the developer or the seller will accept payment. The DED can have things done in one day. So long as payment is ready to go,
we
can. So transfers can be done right away. That's no issue.
So for real estate developers,
Mhm.
investors hearing us today, what are actually the legal pitfall they should be aware of if they want to enter new markets?
Okay, so I won't call it a pitfall, but
Okay.
there's things that you should be wary of. One is making sure that you are dealing with verified and authorized agents.
Yeah.
Um, do your due diligence. There is
Mm,
many people that label themselves as real estate agents or
mm,
brokers or whatever. Make sure you are dealing with the right people. Make
mm,
sure you're dealing with the right firms.
mm,
Make sure that there is no bias on the type of advice you're being
mm,
given.
mm,
Secondly, um, ownership. There's many ways that you can be purchasing the properties.
mm,
Now, if we're going to take it back to taxation, when you're owning things as an individual, you may have reporting requirements in your country as an individual.
mm,
If we're talking about more corporate investors or more seasoned investors who may be looking at holdings companies or something like that, there's a lot of different things we can do to structure things legally the right way, have the right reporting, the right ownership. All of those things make a very big difference.
yeah.
So it's not just about, buying in the right project and having the right projections on finance and numbers wise, but also legal structure of these companies or the legal entities that you want to create. We can do those establishments from the beginning, strategize the right way, and be purchasing through those entities that way.
Yeah, and now especially there is escrow account, there's new things coming in to be more on the investor side
Yeah.
than being on the agent side. So yeah, this is very important.
The escrow account actually came on the back of, the bubble or the crisis that
Yeah,
happened, you're talking 15, 16,
true.
or 17 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something new.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is something there that has been protecting investors for a long time and making sure that not only developers are delivering on time or before,
Mm-hmm.
but also that, those who are, we need to protect both developers and the investors. So that is covering both sides for sure.
With emerging trends like
Mhm.
blockchain, crypto, digital currencies,
Mhm.
what regulatory or tax challenges do you foresee for businesses operating in these spaces?
Um, I won't necessarily see tax implications on these industries.
Mm-hmm.
Blockchain is a great technology that is used to protect many things. Data, crypto, whatever
Mm-hmm.
other currencies and other types of transactions. When we talk about crypto in general, the UAE, has its own authorities. It's got legislations that are being implemented, introduced every day. We definitely want to encourage transactions with cryptocurrency,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's moving towards decentralized, centralized
Mm-hmm.
exchanges, all of these type of things. The UAE is definitely encouraging these type of transactions. When we relate it back to real estate,
Mm-hmm.
digital currencies are an accepted mode of payment. This is amazing,
Yeah, this is
right?
very good, especially for international investors. We have seen it
100%.
this in the
Yeah.
market.
And
Yeah.
not just that, like we as, financial advisors and,
Mm-hmm.
investors in general, we always look at how to maximize profit. So
Mm-hmm.
not only are you buying through crypto, your crypto trading and the profits you are making there is another way to even pay off your payment plans faster,
True.
right? It's
Yeah.
like any other currency. When you're
Mm-hmm.
having that exchange rates and the fluctuations throughout the day,
Mm-hmm.
you're not only making money through crypto,
Mm-hmm.
you're using that money to right away buy an asset.
True.
And developers are accepting those payments.
Yeah, most developers nowadays they are
Yes,
accepting.
obviously through certain approved currencies,
Yeah.
but usually pegged to, USDT.
Mm-hmm.
But why not? And tax
So maybe in the
implications,
future we'll start paying by crypto.
why not?
Okay,
You can
that's
have
actually
debit cards that are linked to your crypto
that's
wallets.
actually very nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Talking about the landscape changing for women in finance, law, and real estate
Yes.
across the GCC.
Yes.
Yeah,
See, I remember the case study we did in university. At that time, I was in university in Australia,
nice.
and it was something about glass ceilings in the corporate world and all of
Mm,
these type of things. This is something we don't have in the UAE, and there's also there was lobbying about unfair pays and inequality in salaries and things like that.
mm,
You don't actually see this here. Um, your salary is based on your qualifications, your experiences, all of these type of things. So I don't like to say that I'm encouraging only women. I encourage everyone.
Mm.
Um, Women, we have different challenges. We
Yes.
have challenges, about balancing maybe home life and this. Um, I'm a mother, by the way.
Oh, mashallah.
Yeah.
God
So
bless.
I was very blessed to have my children very early. I actually graduated and I already finished having my kids. Um, so I have two girls, alhamdulillah.
Mashallah.
Yep. And maybe I was very lucky in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that I had finished university, already started work, and been through all of the, maternity leave and all these type of things
Yeah.
already. So I don't have that challenge now. My girls are all grown up.
So how did you manage between university, marriage, kids? I think it was a very tough period.
Um, it was a very tough period, but I only had to go through the whole maternity leave thing for my
Okay.
second child,
Mm-hmm.
but I was still doing my master's at the time. So yeah, I did take a small break during my master's studies because I was also working at the time. It was my first job, and I wanted to make sure that I'm doing things right.
Yeah,
Um, it wasn't easy, but
of
it's
course.
possible.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
family support, we have nannies, we have flexible working hours, we have even shortened working hours. Forget about the maternity leave.
Mm-hmm.
Even after we had the
That's
UAE law
amazing. Yeah.
encourages,
Mm.
and the laws are becoming more and more flexible for mothers. So alhamdulillah, we're in the right place in of the world. And whether it's, in finance, whether it's in the legal industry, when I go into court, where I'm going to the public prosecution, I see more and more women. I
Yeah,
see them becoming younger and younger, or starting younger and younger, and it makes me so happy.
yeah,
Don't get me wrong, I still would love to see a balance of both. But seeing more and more women, especially in the legal system, especially in the finance world, banking, real estate, more Emirati women, younger and younger men and women, it's very it
good to
just makes
see.
it's good
Yeah,
to
yeah,
see it. It
yeah.
makes you proud. Like I wish we could all make a group and go out together.
Hopefully, it will happen one day,
Inshallah.
inshallah. Nadia, it was a very interesting topic.
Yes.
Now, if I want to ask you about some, tips that we can give, hot tips for the investors.
Hot tips. Sure. So those who are looking to invest in real estate in the
Mm-hmm.
UAE, I will always say not only Dubai. Dubai is definitely the biggest market for real estate in the UAE,
Mm-hmm.
highest number of transactions. But
Mm-hmm.
the UAE is 7 Emirates.
True.
So not only are we looking at Dubai, we're looking at the UAE as a whole. Um, the That's my biggest tip. Not only to focus on Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
Dubai, it will probably be maybe 70 to 80% of your portfolio, and then we look at other Emirates.
Mm-hmm.
You Abu Dhabi,
Ras Al Khaimah
Ras Al
also.
Khaimah is
Yeah.
definitely there,
Mm.
but and beyond, you still have Sharjah, you still have Mguin. I'll give you an introduction on the UAE Emirates later. Now,
Okay.
the second topic or the hot tip we're going to
Yeah.
look at is looking at a mixed portfolio of off-plan properties as well as ready
Ready
properties,
properties. True.
because we want to make sure that we have the income starting right away,
Mm-hmm.
especially when we're looking at more seasoned investors.
Mm-hmm.
And then we want to look at also having a good mix of capital growth later on.
True.
So when we do these feasibility studies for the investors, we look at, again, the risk appetite, timeline of investment. What is it looking at the ROI, or is it looking at the capital growth later on? A good mix of both. And then we also want to look at taxation and the
Mm-hmm.
applicability of tax on those properties.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we're looking extreme ROIs and that 15% plus, we're going to be looking at short-term properties, short-term rentals,
Mm-hmm.
commercial properties such as actual serviced apartments,
Mm-hmm.
Airbnbs that are coming, in very luxurious areas, seasonal type of very high ROIs,
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to be looking at VAT. And especially if it's going to be owned by corporate investors, we're going to also be having a look at corporate tax applicability.
True.
But
Mm.
minimizing that is always ways to strategize that. Individuals, we're always going to be advising you. Look at residential, minimize your tax exposure. You're going to have many exemptions there.
Mm-hmm.
And in some cases, zero tax.
Nadia, as you know, that we have an amazing event happening in April, the International Property Show.
Yes, very
Yes.
exciting.
Can you explain to me what will be your input in the event? What are you looking at?
Sure. So actually, we're gonna have a very exciting panel discussion
Amazing.
live at the event, and we'll be recording a live broadcast on the activity stage. So that is actually going to be covering many topics,
Like
but
what?
specifically, tax is very boring, and people don't like to talk about tax until you have to pay tax, right?
Yeah, true, true,
So
true.
I try to make taxes as least boring as possible. So I'm going to be discussing, the IPS is going to be having exhibitors from all over the world.
Yeah.
Okay. So not only is it going to be displaying developers and projects here in the UAE,
Mm-hmm.
but also it's going to be having exhibitors from outside.
True.
From, your Europes, your Americas, your Caspian Sea, all over. So the talk is going to be not only about taxes in the UAE
Mm-hmm.
and implications for real estate here in the UAE, but also the investment side and
Mm-hmm.
even getting your money back home, and how can we minimize paying
So I
taxes
think this is a
outside.
very interesting topic, whether for
Very interesting.
agent, investors, or anyone.
Even developers here in the
Yes, it's
UAE
very
or
important
outside,
topic.
right?
Yeah.
And because, I always talk about in my talks, we're not only here to help you create your wealth,
Mm-hmm.
we want to preserve that wealth.
Yes.
So we want to pay minimal taxes, and we want to
Mm-hmm.
do it the right way and the compliant way, because risk management here is a big deal.
Yeah, true.
So I promise it won't be boring. We're going to be talking about numbers, statistics, um, how much can be made, how much can be saved, and of course, how much
So I think
taxes we don't want to
all
pay.
of the people are watching us now. They should be part of the event because we will be discussing amazing topics, and
Yeah,
this is a very amazing topic to be covered. Everyone should
definitely.
know and learn.
Yep.
So that's very, very
Especially
interesting.
for agents. I want to
Yeah,
see more agents coming, because why can't we educate agents as well so they're
yeah.
giving the right advice to their clients?
So I think some of the agents are not going really deep to understand the
No.
tax, everything, so they can give actual guide for the investors. So I think they should be part of this discussion panel
Come,
and
it's free
educate everyone.
information. We're
Yeah.
giving it from credible sources,
Mm.
and everything is going to be live on the spot. So we'll also be
Mhm.
having some open discussions with people in the audience.
It's very important. So, how important is tax residency status like for global investors?
So tax residency isn't available only for individuals. It's also for companies and other legal types of legal establishments. So what is the benefit of having tax residency in the UAE?
Mm-hmm.
For example, let's say you are a citizen and a taxpayer in South Africa, for example,
Okay.
and you're earning money in South Africa, but you're also earning money here in the UAE.
Mm-hmm.
Once you are able to obtain tax residency here in the UAE, actually the tax applicability on your money earned here and what you have to pay tax wise back home in your country changes. So
Mm-hmm.
every single tax domicile has its different rules, whether for individuals or for companies. So I can't really give, specific advice or anything about that. But once we are able to obtain the tax residency for you here
Mm-hmm.
in the UAE, what your tax applicability is outside of the UAE changes dramatically.
Really?
Yeah. This is
Wow.
the whole purpose. And this is something known, in the tax world globally.
Mm-hmm.
But, every tax domicile has its different, exemptions or
Mm-hmm.
rules related to
Mm-hmm.
having offshore tax residency, like having here in the UAE. There are some terms and conditions and requirements that need to be met, but we can
Mm-hmm.
assess that for each individual or for each company. But yeah, the UAE offers tax residency certificates that can be shared back home.
Nadia, I believe after like I had a discussion with you for almost an hour today, I believe like you had a very, tough period. You had to be strong. You had a lot of challenges. And I believe the audience and whoever is listening to us today should understand what is behind Nadia and what Nadia has faced and what was the mindset of Nadia. I think this is very important for them to
Yeah.
understand. And what tips or you can give an advice for the people so you can empower them to be one day a successful woman like you.
First of all, alhamdulillah. دائما وأبدا.
طبعا.
Um, They say through adversity comes growth. And I don't think I've ever met anyone who is, I'm not even just going to say successful, like an entrepreneur or someone
Mm,
who has that, self-discipline or that growth mindset, who has sat and had the easy path. No one
true.
has had the easy life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to talk about life in general. It's about your path. For entrepreneurs, it's all about resilience. It doesn't work the first time. You may be having to sacrifice so many things, whether it's time, whether it's social life, whether it's, money, whether it's material things. Everything requires sacrifice, but you
Mm-hmm.
need to choose and prioritize what you want. Um, I have a very clear goal. I know where I want to be and what I want to be doing. And it's not only, for material things or X amount of properties or,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
much of turnover. It's not only about that. And every time I reach a goal, I reset that goal and I realize, okay, this is just the beginning of the peak. You look up and the summit is still there. So yes, I do have a strong character, alhamdulillah, but that
Yeah.
again, it doesn't come from having, being having golden spoon in your mouth or
True.
having an easy path.
Mm.
I had setbacks with, even education. I had setbacks personally. I was, while people were, enjoying their time at college and all of these things, I had, raising kids and a
Yeah.
home to look after. And even when I first started my business, I remember walking into my office, which I proudly own today, with no staff. I could hear my breath. There was,
Yeah.
it was
Mm.
scarily quiet.
Wow.
And some days you go home wondering, like, what did I do? But, you remind yourself. And this is something I say to a lot of people who come to the UAE.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about the noise. We can get distracted by so many things, by
True.
the material things, by the flashy life, by all of,
Mm-hmm.
the temporary satisfaction you can get from these things. You come to the UAE, you're earning more money, you're earning tax free. This
You
city
have
is
everything.
giving you
Yeah.
endless opportunities,
Mm.
but if you get distracted by that noise, you'll come and go home with nothing. The biggest piece of advice I can give is remember why you're here.
Mm-hmm.
No growth comes from comfort zones.
True.
Um, your mindset is really, really important. Your inner voice, what you're telling yourself, and you have to be okay with being alone. The amount
That's
of
the
time
most
you spend,
important part.
100%. I
Yeah.
spend majority of my time when it's not doing work. Majority of my time is alone.
Mm.
Um, not saying I don't have a life. I love my life. I know how to live life, and I've lived a
Sometimes it's
great
nice to
life.
be alone.
But
Yeah.
you need that time alone. You need to have that one-on-one time with yourself. الواحد
Mm-hmm.
يراجع حساباته. You need to
صح.
genuinely recalculate why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Remember your purpose. Remember why you're doing things. And, you know, it's okay to spend time alone. It's okay to
True.
travel alone. It's okay to go out and date yourself
It's
for a
true.
bit,
Go have lunch alone. Go have dinner alone.
100%,
Yeah. True.
So I'm not, and this is, leads up to another thing of why I have certain social clubs and why I'm part of certain networks. It's about being around like-minded people. Tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are.
True. This is the
So
most
it's
amazing
it's
quote.
yeah, it's very
Yeah.
important.
Nadia, I believe we're gonna talk and talk and talk hours, me and you. I wish we had the time more to discuss about the more interesting topics, but I believe I will
Always.
see you in IPS. I will
100%. Hope to see
hear
you
to your
all.
podcast. I
Yes.
believe it will be very much interesting.
Yes.
I want each and everyone to attend it. And thank you for having the time to come and meet
Thank
us
you for
today.
having me. It's been a pleasure.
Stay tuned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.